Hello everyone and welcome to the program. I'm Sean Kimberley, Channel Television's global headquarters in Lagos, Nigeria. If all goes according to the plan of the organizers, by tomorrow, the 5th day of August, is a day of rage. That's according to the organizers of Revolution Now movement, led by Omoyele Sowore. Mr. Sowore was picked up at his apartment by officials of the DSS in the early hours of Saturday. The Nigeria Security Police, Secret Police. The DSS today confirmed his arrest. He has held a series of protests against bad governance in the country, and the big one is scheduled for tomorrow, August the 5th. Meanwhile, members of his group, also known as the Third Force Movement, are insisting on going ahead with the protest despite a warning by the police. The Department of State Services, DSS, today officially confirmed the arrest and detention of the publisher of the online news magazine, Zara Reporters, and presidential candidate of the Action Alliance, Mr. Omoyele Sowore, for allegedly threatening national security. The spokesman of the DSS, Mr. Peter Afunaya, said these at a news conference in Abuja today, but declined comments on whether or not Mr. Sowore is in the detention facility of the DSS in Lagos or Abuja. According to him, the DSS is acting within its constitutional powers to arrest and detain anybody or group will threaten the unity and peaceful coexistence of Nigerians.
The revolution is on, it's reality.
The DSS would not just sit by and watch someone or his groups or cohorts would want to rise and threaten the peace, unity, constitutionalism of our beloved country. Whether Sowore is with the DSS or not, the answer is emphatic, is in the affirmative. Yes, he's with us. And why is he with us? He has crossed the lines. He has threatened public safety. Sowore has, as a matter of fact, threatened the peaceful coexistence, social harmony of Nigeria, and we will not stand by and watch that happen.
That's the spokesperson of the DSS earlier today. Mr. Sowore is accused of planning actions capable of inciting the takeover of government or actions linked to terrorism. He has made some statements, some of which surfaced online. And here is one of them, one of the video he posted on his Twitter handle with Idris Abdulkarim, a Nigerian music artist. Take a listen.
The revolution is on, it's reality. Yes. Wake up, everybody. Yeah. It's time to wake up. The revolution is for real. Stand up and ask for what is yours. The time is now. Yes. Ojoro no deal. Lucky for the winner, I could roju for the loser. They are in the forest attacking you and you are keeping mute. You should be ashamed of yourself. Stand up, walk, let them know that you're ready.
In one of the cities, the DSS called our person there and said, we heard so now one shut down Nigeria. The guy told him, he said, by Monday,
straight up,
Tuesday, we will get DSS
Ojoro no day. Ojoro no day.
Because the country would have
Ojoro no day. Nigerians, wake up. Wake up. It's time. The time is now. Wake up, Nigerians.
Well, those are some of the statements that have been accredited to Mr. Sowore. This one that you just watched is actually on from his Twitter handle. There have been several reactions from eminent Nigerians on Sowore's arrest. The legality of his arrest has been debated since yesterday when the arrest came up, the news of his arrest came up. Let's discuss some of the issues. First on the program tonight, I have a senior advocate of Nigeria who joins us from our Abuja studio, rights activist, Chief Mike Ozekhome. He joins us from our Abuja studio. Thank you so much, Chief Ozekhome, for joining us tonight on the program. Let me get your immediate reaction to Mr. Sowore's arrest. And particularly, there's been a lot of criticisms, there's been a lot of reactions from other Nigerians as to why he was arrested. Now we have heard from the DSS why they arrested him. What is your own immediate reaction?
My immediate reaction is very simple. The arrest is illegal. It is unconstitutional. It's even immoral. And I'm going to state why it is immoral. It violates his constitutional rights to freedom of expression as provided for in Section 39 of the 1999 Constitution of Nigeria, his right to freedom of assembly and association as provided for in Section 40 of the 1999 Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. What has Showore done with the man you just showed on the video? They term it, they use the word revolution now. The term revolution now. I know that, yes, by the definition of the word revolution, it connotes insurrection, overthrow, kind of maybe making an attempt to instigate, to overhaul. But in law, there's what you call the mens rea of an offense and the actus reus of that offense. The mens rea is the intention. The actus reus is the act itself. Question: the videos that have been going viral in the last 3 days, they are just telling Nigerians, wake up now. It is your time to come onto the streets and demonstrate and protest against bad governance. And that we must do this peacefully. They emphasize that word peacefully. They didn't say they will carry arms and ammunition. They didn't say they will carry cudgels. They want to demonstrate and protest peacefully on the streets of Nigeria. Okimbaloye, we protested on the streets of Nigeria against bad governance by then President General Muhammadu Buhari, who seized power on the 31st of December 1983, but was overthrown by IBB on the 27th of August 1985. We protested and rallied and demonstrated against IBB for the number of years he was there as military people. Some of us were detained. I was detained over 11 times. But even the military could tolerate us. We did it. This time, it was even violent. There were gunshots. Many of us were killed. Some ran abroad on self-exile to escape being killed. Bagada Kato was killed. There was mayhem. There was arson. There was, in fact, the publishers of the news and 10 magazines had to go underground to use guerrilla journalism. They floated another magazine called Tempo Magazine. Now, in the 2000s, President Obasanjo was in office. The present chairman of APC, Adams Oshomole, was then the president of Nigeria Labour Congress. We joined hands with the civil society group like us to march on the streets of Lagos, from Ikeja to Igbo, to Yaba, to Surulere, to Mushin. We were marching on a daily basis. In fact, it was so intense that many a time Obasanjo would rally around and call us for meetings. In 2012, January, President Muhammadu Buhari, when he was still a candidate, still nursing the hope of becoming president of Nigeria, himself and other members of the then AC, Action Congress, that later metamorphosed with APGA, AMPP and others, they rallied on the streets of Abuja with a group called Occupy Nigeria that used the Ojota Park, closed down Nigeria. In fact, the name Occupy Nigeria actually occupied Nigeria. Jonathan was then the president. There were no shootings. There were no arrests. Musicians were killed in. The Showore himself was part and parcel.
Let me quickly, since we're talking in the, senior advocate, sir, since we're talking in the realm of the law, sorry, let me put, all right.
Around.
Okay,
and
let me
now go against people who were even their supporters at that time.
Senior advocate, let me, since we're talking in the realm of the law, you're a respected senior advocate of Nigeria in the country. Treason, that's what the alleged treason, that's what is being arrested for. That's what the DSS man said there. And within treason is usually generally defined as the offense of attempting to overthrow the government of the state to which one owes allegiance. The criminal code, section 32 of the criminal code, also specifies the kind of punishment. In fact, it also imposes punishment on those who conspire or who are associates of those who is said to have conspired to overthrow a government. In this case, Mr. Sowore is being linked to an act of alleged treason. Is that right within the prism of law based on our criminal code?
I love in vernacular. That allegation is most puerile, most illogical, and most damning from government or security spokespersons. What is treason? For the definition of treason, you have to look at section 37. Then you look at section 38, section 39, section 40, section 41, section 42, section 43 of the criminal code, which applies in the southern part of Nigeria. Then you must look at section 410 of the penal code that applies in the northern part of Nigeria, including the FCT, Abuja. Treason is the act of overthrowing or overawing the sovereign government of a state with a view to overawing or removing the president or governor of a state, or joining hands with international or foreign elements to overthrow the government, or making overt acts to overthrow that government. That is why those sections say, before you can convict a person for treason, which of course is the death penalty as against treasonable felony, which is the overawing or overthrowing of chiefs or a band of Nigerians, which attracts life imprisonment. That is why they say, before you can even convict for it, you must have over 2 witnesses who must testify that there are actually physical acts manifested for the overthrow. And it is so serious that after 2 years, you cannot even try a person for treason. Question, Okimbaloye, what are the acts? Where are the arms and ammunition that have been displayed by Sowore and other members of the peaceful civil society groups that are planning to demonstrate against bad governance? What has this government done about herdsmen carrying automatic weapons, killing Nigerians in their homes and on their farms, maiming, involving in arson, raping, dismembering, and they come out and thump their chest and say, yes, we are. What did the government do? They first gave the organization, Mieti Allah, the sum of 100 billion, and then decided to set up radio stations for them across Nigeria. A discriminatory stance in a country, according to Professor Otite, that is peopled by about 397 ethnic groups, speaking over 350 Nigerians. One ethnic group consisting of not more than 5% of the country has taken over. What has the government done about it? What of the kidnappers? What of the marauders? What of the armed robbers? How much has you done?
Let me quickly ask you another question. And this
leader of Afenifere's daughter, 58-year-old woman, was killed brutally. And then you are not doing anything. Then for Nigerians who want to express their rights, their civic rights. And let me tell you, Okibaloye, before I forget this. In 2005, the ANPP, the Conference of Political Parties, decided to go to court to use the ANPP. They sued the Inspector General of Police that the issue of obtaining police permit before they can protest or rally or demonstrate on the streets must be abandoned, that the Public Order Act is unconstitutional. The matter went, the ANPP won the case at the Federal High Court. Justice Anwuli Chikere, the government appealed to the Court of Appeal. In a judgment, especially the part of it by Justice Omoleye, the Court of Appeal said, hello, obtaining police permit is anachronistic, it's against the spirit and provisions of our constitution as a country that practices constitutional democracy. Don't forget that the ANPP people had had a rally in Kano in which the police intervened. And Dr. Chuba Okadigbo was said to have inhaled noxious gas substances that were dropped at the rally, as a result of which he died within 24 hours. They therefore went to court. And the Court of Appeal pronounced, including the Federal High Court, that the Public Order Act was unconstitutional, was invalid.
Senior Advocate, let me quickly ask you this, because this is a very sensitive matter. But let me ask you, within the frame of the law, because what the government is saying, or the security agencies are saying, is that, look, if you want to take over government, the ballot box, the presidents have come out to say the ballot box is the right way to do it. You cannot take over government by any other means. But let me ask you, if you are the president of Nigeria and you heard somewhere that there's going to be a revolution against your government within the ambit of the law, what would you do?
What I would do is to first use my security agency to ask, are these people possessing of arms and ammunition? Where are their guns? Where are their bayonets? Where are their bombs? Where are their machine guns? Where are their instruments of violence? Oh, instruments of violence can now be placards. We no go gree, oh, we no go gree. You must go. We no go gree. A luta continua, Victoria aseta. A luta continua, Victoria aseta. Which means the struggle continues. Victory is certain. Dancing on the streets, saying we don't want bad governance. How does that amount to treason or treasonable felony? This government is allergic to plurality of voices. This government is allergic to criticism. This government is allergic to opinions. This government should know that Nigeria is a country of Dolly Parton's coat of many colors. And that you cannot stifle opinion. We cannot all sleep on the same bed, facing the same side.
All right.
Some people
just a moment. Just a moment.
This government should be tolerant. They came to power.
So, Senior Advocate, I will use my gavel at the moment. Since we're in democracy, let's get some plurality of opinion here. I've since been joined by the chairman of the Coalition of Nigerians Against Corruption, Mr. Olariwaju Suraj. Thank you so much for coming on the program tonight. You heard the legal perspective, some of the position of the Senior Advocate there, Mike Ozekhome. From what is happening, you are privy to the plans of Mr. Omoyele Sowore and their plans of these protests. Did they get it wrong at any point?
No, I think it's important that we actually get the government and people in authority up to date with the tune of the language that is used by the young people and also on the social media. When they say revolution now, I think one of the things that is quite clear and that needs to go to both the DSS and the police before we talk about the process of his arrest, which is actually a very major source of concern for all of us as civil society activists. Saying revolution now could actually be a peaceful revolution. And let's get this straight. They just said revolution now, which is the slogan, does not mean we're staging revolution. They just said they want to protest against certain issues. And the revolution that is associated with that could be a major change in the direction of government's policies and programs, a major address of those concerns that are raised by the issue. So, for instance, saying all the states must pay the 30,000 minimum wage, and the government makes a pronouncement by tomorrow saying, even especially as a ruling party, that we're going to pay that 30,000, be it come sunshine, come rain. That is a victory for whatever agitation.
Those are some of the demands.
Those are the critical demands that are made by those.
But if you were in government and you hear revolution, would you wait? For example, if you need any security
the first thing for me as a government that is based on the principles of the rule of law that also emerge on some forms of revolution, the toppling of PDP or dislodging PDP by APC was touted as democratic revolution by members of the APC.
Let me pause you for a moment. Okay. Let me pause you for a moment. It's democracy. The rule of law is also the major pillar of any democracy. We'll talk more Up next on the program, I still have my guests here. I'll be also getting the government perspective to all of this. The revolution process, Showore's arrest, and the state of governance in Nigeria gets us talking. We'll be dissecting more on this issue when we return from this break. Join us again. Welcome back, everyone. Police authorities are not leaving anything to chance as they're already talking tough ahead of the proposed action of the Revolution Now movement who are planning a protest for tomorrow. Well, the police say a video circulating on the social media by the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria and others calling on Nigerians to join a planned revolution march against the federal government on August the 5th amounts to treasonable felony. Police spokesperson Mr. Frank Omba explains that the planned action is meant to force a regime change in the country. He says, and I quote, the force wishes to state unequivocally that the call amounts to treasonable felony and acts of terrorism and will therefore not stand idly by and watch any individual or group in the society cause anarchy in the land. While acknowledging the rights of Nigerians to embark on protest, the force wishes to note that such rights should not translate to a violent and forceful change of government, which clearly is the meaning of, quote, revolution. The police maintains that Nigeria is a democratic country with well-defined processes for change of government and warns those it describes are the organizers, sponsors, allies, supporters, and associates and sympathizers of the Global Coalition for Security and Democracy in Nigeria to steer clear of any such planned protest, an act of incitement. There's been a series of reactions. Nobel laureate Professor Wole Soyinka has reacted. Civil rights activist Mr. Femi Falana and a host of others have reacted on this. We've been dissecting the legal angle of this and of course, the rights issues involved and the governance aspect. On the program tonight, we'll hear from the side of government, we're hearing from the side of a lawyer and from the perspective of a activist. So I've been speaking with Senior Advocate of Nigeria and a constitutional lawyer, Chief Mike Ozekhome in our Abuja studio. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. And also the chairman of the society, Civil Society Network Against Corruption, Mr. Olarewaju Suraj. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Let me come back to you, Mr. Suraj. You were explaining that when the APC was an opposition party,
right,
you said they planned a democratic revolution.
Right.
Well, is what Mr. Showore planning in that realm?
Yes, it is in that realm. It is the civil process of what translated in the election eventually in 2015 was a combination of a process. It started with building the forces of civil process that is recognized within the Constitution and is allowed within our law that people can express their disenchantment with the system, with policies of government, with programs, through protest, through rallies, and through even letters. And if they decide that they want to go on a rally, on a protest, which the president, even at his age, led as far back as 2004, 2005, up to 2014 and 2000, then how would you say young people are not allowed to do that, or they are unable to do that? And like I said, the fact that they said revolution now, which is one of the things that I think Chief Michael Ozekhome also alluded to, is the fact that you didn't even see arms and ammunition or weapons that you can say there's a plan to topple the government. And that goes to your question. If we were to talk about some other situation where you have people in government, or if I was to be in government and I hear revolution against the government, from this set of young people, I think what is expected of a democratically elected president or government is to start a process of engagement. And it is obvious. Even
when you hear that, for example, if you are the director of DSS and you hear that from Tuesday, 6th of August, DSS will no longer exist.
No, there's no way DSS will not.
No, if you hear that if you are not speaking as a civil rights activist, as not as Suraj, you hear that your organization will by tomorrow or next tomorrow will no longer exist.
Yeah.
Will you take it idly?
No, I'm actually going to have a press interaction and tell them that they are jokers. And I would want to see how that would translate into action. It is not just about sitting there. Where is the intelligence gathering of DSS that would tell DSS that this is not possible? The revolution is not feasible. So if you remove the president, do you remove the governors of the states? If you remove the president, where do you put the military? Where is the military that these guys are having that would overrun the barracks, that would overrun the police stations, that would overrun the police force.
Do you think this government is intolerant?
I think the government needs to be tolerant. And if we go by the arrest of Shore, yes,
government is
very intolerant.
Really?
With the arrest of Shore on Saturday, because they could have invited him rather than arresting him in the middle of the night. He could have been invited. If he had resisted an invitation, then you can resort to that. Without invitation, you could have also used the police to invite him without bringing the DSS. No pronouncement until there was a pressure from everywhere. And then we just heard the DSS speaking today. Like I said, this is an act of intolerance, and the government needs to be more tolerant than it is currently.
If you look at some of the issues that have been raised, and morally speaking, we've been speaking within the ambit of the law and the issues of fundamental rights of an individual in the state. But look at it from the prism of morality. You run for an election 6 months down the line, and you're asking for revolution. Morally speaking, would you do such a thing?
Personally, are you saying personally?
Yes,
or
morally speaking.
Personally, I would not do that. I might not do that, but I wouldn't say that other politicians won't do it. And that was why I said, even you see President Buhari himself leading protests after losing election. We've seen where politicians have taken advantage of that civil ambit. So that is the point when they were saying that's why I gave you the point.
Because Mr. Suraj,
I want to give you an example.
Who are opposed to the approach of Mr. Showore and his associates are saying that look at the states, the countries where issues of revolution had come. Tunisia, Egypt, Libya. These are even about
Hong Kong. Let me tell you.
Now, the big question is that those countries never remain the same.
No. You see, let me tell you. Even people understand, which is where the government is showing a total lack of clarity, understanding, and also organization. None of those places that you mentioned did they even ever start and say we're starting a revolution. Revolution is not a statement. It is not an action. It's a process, and there was never a time. And go and check that they will say, we want to do revolution. You have to build a process. And the government will determine and show his own legitimacy by his response to such actions from the So when the government shows that it is panicky like it's just done, that is scared of, I can tell you, it possibly would have been a complete different ballgame tomorrow if Showore had not been arrested. This has been made more popular than it was even on Friday. There were quite a number of people that would not have spoken in support of the action prior to Saturday that are speaking in support of the action.
So, perhaps this government has got an ongo.
A clear ongo, 2 goals in 1.
Oh, so look at it, and let's speak as Nigerians now. And I want to ask you this sincere question. So if you look at the case studies of the countries that have experienced revolution against their democracy, would you suggest revolution as a way to go?
No, we are not organized. We are not prepared for that. We are not even in any way close to anything close to revolution. I know Nigerians to love life more than what you're talking about in terms of revolution. I know quite a lot of people that would not in any way. And that is why you don't see things like IPOB surviving or succeeding, because the majority of the people that are in Nigeria are not part of that process. It's just going to be a few that will go through that process. Some of them would benefit from it. Some of them are making businesses out of it. But like I said, the response of the government. Tell me about how you want to talk about secession for Biafra thing. And you want to ask the people in Alaba how they want to respond to that with their investment in that places. How you want to ask people from the southeast who are based in Kano with heavy investment, how they want to respond to that. But such, situations can be made popular by
that's the reason why, if I look at, because I try to study democracies across the world, and that's the reason why I was asking you the question, what revolution will look like. And you painted a very gory picture of what we saw in Tunisia. It's a total shutdown of that state. What we saw in Egypt, the economy is not the same. What we saw in Libya is still suffering. What we saw in Syria is a total collapse of that society. But if there is any intention to change activities of governance, morally speaking, so That's the question.
Of
those who oppose the style.
That is what is called the revolution. Like I told you, ABC acknowledged that they did democratic revolution in 2015. The changing of government. That was why I said.
So would you say?
Sorry,
please. Apologies. Would you say the approach of Mr. Showore was wrong?
The approach to his own limited, possibly understanding and his group might not be the best. But the issues that they are actually pointing out and asking for are issues that concerns every member of Nigeria.
Let me ask you this question before I allow you to go, Mr. Suraj.
Okay.
Does the Buhari government has a culture of disrespect for the rule of law?
There's been several cases, and I think those are the critical negatives. Those are the minuses of the government, of the allegation of the disregard for the rule of law or court orders. And you can find cases and instances. And that became also an issue where the former Attorney General was challenged during the screening at the National Assembly by the Senate for his ministerial appointment on the cases of obeying court orders. And that you can't have any government enjoying legitimacy, credibility, and integrity with the people if you are accused perpetually of disobeying court order, and that is tantamount to disobedience for the rule of law.
Mr. Olarewaju Suraj, I must sincerely thank you, because we will hear from the side of government. I'll quickly run to our Abuja studio, but I must sincerely thank you. Chairman of the Civil Society Network Against Corruption, Mr. Olarewaju Suraj. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. Let me go back to you, come back to you, Mr. Ozekhome. This is where, again, lawyers have debated largely on the thin line between national security and the rights of a citizen. In this sense, what is more important?
National security is not security of the government to stay in office and perpetuate itself, even when its policies are against the interest of the people. The people can use a ballot box to remove such a government. Every Nigerian knows that in the last elections, Atiku is currently before the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal against Buhari. That is a democratic way of doing it. But every Nigerian also knows that prior to the 2015 election, the then General Buhari led others like Tinubu, Oyegun, and others to demonstrate on the streets of Nigeria as a build-up towards sensitizing Nigerians to say, the Jonathan government, don't accept it again. You were here when John Kerry, the then Secretary of State of America, will come to America, or will come to Nigeria, hold secret clandestine meetings with the then opposition without even seeing the government in power. We are here, or we were here, when IPOB, that were demonstrating on the streets, carrying cudgels, singing, we want a Republic of Biafra. Self-determination, which is accepted and legitimized by all international instruments, including the United Nations Organization, African Charter on Human and People's Rights, and even the Nigerian Constitution, when they were bad and they went after them, killed many of them. You are here when only last week the government said they were banning Shiite movement, which is an Islamic group. Now, do you ban religion? Nigeria is a secular state under Section 10 of the Constitution. And the Constitution guarantees freedom of religion and good conscience. Do you ban a person's belief in Allah or in God, or his freedom to worship? And these were people who were just protesting on the streets, peacefully saying, please release our leader, El-Zakzaky, that you have detained for 4 years. And all orders made by various courts for his release, you have violated the orders with impunity. You don't want to obey court orders, contrary to the doctrine of separation of powers, ably propounded in 1748 by great French philosopher Baron de Montesquieu.
Let me butt in and
do not want to obey court orders.
Yeah.
And because of that, they have now said they ban Shiite. But they didn't ban the Mieti Allah group. They didn't ban herdsmen. They didn't ban kidnappers who are terrorizing Nigerians and killing them in their homes.
Senior Advocate, if you allow me to put this question to you. Senior Advocate, just a moment. Perhaps this will give you opportunity for your closing. Senior Advocate, just a moment. Let me throw this question. I hope that you can hear me. I want you to give us your final thoughts on this issue and what you think the government should do immediately. But some of those who are criticizing Mr. Sowore, for example, will say he was seen meeting with the leader of IPOB, Mr. Nnamdi Kanu, outside of the country. A few days after he came into the country and he started his actions of Revolution Now protest. Morally speaking, if you give us your final word on the program, how would you consider that morally? And what would you say the government should be doing right now?
My final words on this would be that the government should be tolerant to opposition and to criticism. My final words would be that we must resort to the words of Alexander the Great. One lion led by 100 sheep cannot constitute a problem. But, one lion led by 100 sheep is not a problem. But if there are 100 sheep, leading one lion, there's no problem. But if there's one lion leading 100 sheep, then there's a problem. Is Sowore, in the circumstances of this case, not possessive of arms and ammunition, of guns, of bombs? Is he a lion leading 100 sheep? Is it not just a question of sensitizing the people? Thomas Jefferson, ex-American president, once told us that when the people fear their government, then there is tyranny. But when the government fears the people, then there is rule of law. This government does not respect rule of law. Does not respect people's fundamental rights.
I guess it's a good place to leave it, Senior Advocate. It's a good place to leave it. And I'll count that as perhaps your final word on the program tonight. Senior Advocate of Nigeria, rights activist, Chief Mike Ozekhome. Thank you so much for coming on tonight. It's a pleasure having you.
Thank you, Shehu Nokimbaloye. God bless you, Nigerians. Nigerians will be great.
Thank you so much.
Nigeria will be great.